Zaxby's has been perfecting chicken fingers for 30 years. So what now? Now, we go to the sea! Introducing the Southern Fried Shrimp Meal. With butterflied shrimp that's perfectly golden fried. A perfect blend of cocktail sauce and Zax sauce that we call Zax Tail Sauce. Plus perfectly seasoned crinkle fries. Perfectly buttery Texas toast. And even a drink with perfectly pebbled ice. Here's to 30 more years of perfect. The new Southern Fried Shrimp Meal at Zaxby's. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Rock bands will come, rock bands will go. But rock and roll's gonna go on forever! Okay! And all over that!
My man Chad Lopez. I love Chad Lopez, man. It's my boy right there. I love Darryl Strawberry, too. Man, do I love Darryl Strawberry. When I grew up, my favorite athletes in New York were Lawrence Taylor, Michael Ray Richardson, Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden. Those are all my guys. By the way, they're all party guys. But then again, so was I. But they were just larger than life to me. And Darryl went on to have this spectacular career, won World Series, Mets and Yankees, went out to L.A. But I think Strawberry will be the first to admit that his best work came after he was a baseball player. You know, Darryl was in studio with me and Bernard a couple of years ago when Bernie was still alive, God rest his soul. And Darryl actually told us that he's a Yankee. I said, what do you mean you're a Yankee, Straw? Stop it, you're a Met. I said, no, George Steinbrenner treated me better than the Mets, and I'm a Yankee. And it actually made the New York Post, which usually sports stories, that's WFAN or ESPN. But, of course, with Sid Rosenberg in town, working there for all those years, if a big sports story hits my show, even though in politics and news, it makes the papers. And it made the papers. And then Straw had his number retired a couple of weeks ago at Citi Field, and he said, you know, I'm sorry I even left in the first place. So it looks like maybe Steve Cohen treats Darryl and the Met alumni better than the Wilpons, and maybe Darryl has reversed course. Either way, he was a joy to watch as a ball player, but he has been inspiring and someone to be proud of, inspiring in his older years. The great number 18, Darryl Strawberry. Darryl, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Morning, El Cid. I'll call you like El Cid like we had on our team, so.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, fella. How you doing?
I'm great. The great Sid Fernandez. People called me El Cid for years because of Fernandez. That's funny, Darryl. You know, first of all, you and I are going to be honored together. Bobby Hartman has turned out to be a real good friend of mine. He runs Mainstream House out on Long Island. Darryl, he gave me the honor last year of going out there and speaking. Over 100 people there that night, and it was a huge honor. And I know that as a guy in recovery myself, and I fought very long and very hard and fell off a million times, had to go to rehab twice. I know the fight, and I know a lot of brothers and sisters over the years that went to rehabs with me that died along the way. So to be honored alongside you after the work that you've done to improve your life over the years is a tremendous honor, and I'm really excited about doing that on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, too. You know, Bobby is an awesome guy, and he does a lot of great things, you know, for helping people in recovery. And recovery is important, and recovery is possible for people. And we must be the light. We must always remember to share our experience, strength, and hope with others so they can know that they can get out of the darkness and get into the light, too. It's a fight that we've been fighting for a very long time. You know, people always criticize people who struggle with addiction, but addiction is an illness, it's a sickness, and it takes lives, you know, and destroys families. And, you know, that Monday night is a golf tournament, and it's about, you know, encouraging others that we love them, you know, no matter what people think about them. And raising money for them and run programs are important in this country. This country has an epidemic right now with so many young people addicted to opiates and heroin and fentanyl and dying, left to right, because people think it's a weakness and it's a sickness, and we need to pay more attention to our younger generation and help them and encourage them to get on the other side of life.
Well said. And, of course, Darryl, between speaking at things like you are doing Monday, helping folks like you and I, our brothers and sisters in recovery, and the work you do as a minister, it is amazing how many people rely on your word. It's no longer how you hit with runners in scoring position, but what you can do for somebody who's having a difficult day. So, again, between speaking at events like Monday and the ministry work that you do, how rewarding is all of that?
It's very rewarding, Sid. I mean, I just try to convey the message to people of hope. My experience in my own personal life and the challenges that I faced and dealing with them, and telling people about never giving up and never quitting. And don't blame anybody. Take responsibility. That's what we have to do. I had to take responsibility for my own personal actions and stand up to them and face all of them and deal with them and say, hey, look, I was successful as a baseball player and I was a star in baseball, but I failed big as a man. And what does that look like? That looks like a broken piece, which we all come and have this broken piece of who we are, and we need to have it put back together. And then when we put it back together, it becomes a beautiful piece that can go out there and you can give it to somebody else. No, this is not about just Darryl Strawberry. This is about the millions of people I get to speak to and be around. And you get an opportunity to have a voice and you're able to help them. Your shortcomings become your greatest victories when you overcome. If you sit there on the sideline and say, I'm a victim, you're going to continue to be a victim. I'm not a victim, I'm an overcomer. And that's what's important, to let people know that they can be an overcomer too. It's just about doing the work and putting some principles in line for your life and getting well, getting healed on the inside. Not what we look like on the outside. See, everybody always project what people look like on the outside and they have everything. But what's really going on the inside is those broken pieces that need to be healed.
Tell me about those broken pieces. I'm very friendly, too, with Dwight. And you guys have had your ups and downs over the years, even as teammates when you won a World Series in '86. But I know you're there for each other, and he was there for you. Both your numbers were retired already this year. Doc 16, your number 18. And we know that he's had difficulties even the last couple of years. He's had a much more difficult time, it seems like, sticking with this than you have. You've been doing very, very well for many, many years. When it got really, really bad for you, really bad, Darryl, what did that look like?
Well, it was down in the dark pits of darkness, in the midst of addiction. You can lose your life like so many celebrities. Nobody ever tell them they have a problem. Everybody always sweep it under the rug until one of them die and say, well, I wish I would have spoke up. Well, it's too late then. And that's why I've always been able to speak up about certain things, not to just direct anything at Dwight's struggles. He's a person, he needs to know that he can be well, and he needs to know that people like me and him and many others have struggled down those dark roads and those broken pieces we had to put together for ourselves. What happens is you have to take off that uniform and identify yourself as a person, not a baseball player. And that's what had to happen to me. And my wife, she's got over 25 years in recovery, and she was the saving grace of my life. It takes people to help people. Yep. And she was the one that was pulling me out of dope houses and telling me that God has a plan for my life. And that's important, for people to understand. Speaking up can save a person's life and can lead that person to going into the healing process. And I always believe that that's very important. If we stay quiet, somebody's going to lose their life. And that's just the way it is, because addiction is very powerful, very controlling, and it dominates a person's life. And if a person does not get help and allow other people to help them, I've had so many brothers in recovery that was a big part of my life, and that's why I'm sitting here today, because they never gave up on me. And even though I was struggling, they was always there for me. And when I was ready, they was ready to open their arms and invite me back in to the circle. One
more on basically what you went through, and then we'll get to a couple Met questions, and then the big event Monday night, let you run, Darryl, and that is, that 86 team won the World Series, but you're known just as much for the partying days and You know, the whole team, not just you and Dwight, really outside of, I guess, Gary Carter and Keith Hernandez, who, by the way, had his day a couple of years before that in a big way. It seemed like the whole team would get mentioned as a bunch of party animals. Was that right? Was it exaggerated, or was it really just one complete party, starting with that 85, 86 team for many years?
I mean, so what? It was the 80s, you know, to everybody who really cared about the fact that, you know, we were crazy and we were wild. You know, the fact that we were good and we showed up to play and we wanted to kick your behind was the most important thing. And I think that's what fans looked at. And they could say, well, they were this, they were that, and they could have won more. Yeah, we could have won more. But you got to remember, you had to win the division to get into the playoffs and all that stuff. So, you know, the 86 Mets was a crazy group of guys that loved and cared for each other. Were we party animals? We probably were. Yeah, a lot of party animals and hung out a lot. But, you know, of course, Carter and Mookie Wilson didn't hang out. They were solid guys. They were guys of faith and loved their family and everything. And they just didn't go out with the rest of the boys when we were hitting the town. But I tell you what, when we hit that field, we was gonna bang it. It didn't matter what. It didn't matter what we did. We wasn't babies about it. You know, we loved our fans and we loved our fan base and played in front of them. And we played wild and crazy. We fight. We do whatever we had to do. But we were the New York Mets. We wasn't the Mutts. You know, we were the Mets.
And you would fight, man. I still love that game against Cincinnati with Ray Knight at third base. That was one of the great memories in the history of the Mets. And your buddy Eric Davis, you know, you did say when they retired your number, Darryl, the great number 18, you apologized to the fans. You were basically in tears saying you wish you never left. I don't know. When I look back, I think it was over here. I do. I think, you know, I mean, I wanted to keep you, obviously, because I loved you. You were my favorite player. But I felt like it was kind of over here. So I know you said that in Queens a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not sure, given the opportunity to do it all over again, that you would do it any differently. You really think you would?
It wasn't over. You know, I had a bang year. They said, show me that you can still play and have a good year.
No, not you. No, not you. No. You can still play. I meant the New York thing was kind of used up at that point.
I don't think so. I mean, I think we could have went in a totally different direction, you know, if I would have stayed and continued to build our younger players around that situation. But you let so many guys walk away from, you know, what that franchise was all about. That franchise was built through our minor league system. Yes, of course, we had Keith and Carter and Ray Knight, you know, three veterans, but majority of that organization came from all our younger players that started to come up, and you started to trade people off. And once you started to trade people off and ship people out, you know, then you became a different look, a different face. I think what happened was what people wanted, you know, the Mets to be like the 86 Mets, but they didn't have that gut like the 86 Mets.
Right.
The 86 Mets had guts. You know, we knew we could come back. We knew we wasn't going to tolerate people just saying anything to us, because if you had to say something to us, we were going to put our fists up and we were going to put them on you. It was just so many different ways about the way we were, and now all of a sudden we changed. We're going in this different direction, and I think Frank Cashin, you know, I think he wanted the boys to drink milk. He didn't want them to drink alcohol anymore. So and they became soft. And
well, you know, one trade that I think probably pissed all you guys off, and I know it did, and it aggravated me too, was Mitchell. I mean, Kevin went on to become this amazing player, but I saw it. He was a great player already in '86, and I know Mick Reynolds helped you guys get to the '88 NLCS, that Dodger loss, but I mean, there's one example of what you're talking about, dealing away of very, very, very good Kevin Mitchell. That hurt.
Well, yeah, that did. But K-Mac was a great player, and you don't take anything away from K-Mac. He was quiet. He was from Arkansas, and he didn't want to have anything to do with New York. But he comes to the ballpark, and he played his behind off. And I love K-Mac. And of course, losing Kevin Mitchell was a big loss for us, because that was the toughness of what the New York Mets was all about. Because when we got into a brawl, Kevin Mitchell had somebody in the headlock. He was going to kill somebody. You know, it was just the way it was, and it just kind of allowed that team to just have that kind of confidence in ourselves and our belief in ourselves to know that you just don't mess with us. And then we went on and of course lost in '88 to the Dodgers, which was really heartbroken.
Yeah.
I never got over that. I was sick to my stomach about that.
Either did we.
Yeah. Forever.
Oral Hershiser, I don't know, he was on fire. One more. You did say to me and Bernie years and years ago that you're a Yankee, and I know that George Steinbrenner was great to you, and Doc for that matter, and many guys. I mean, he gave so many people so many opportunities who it seemed like were done, on the way out. And you went on to produce for the Yankees. You had your home run against the Braves, I'll never forget that. It was huge. So you said to us, you're a Yankee, but the Darryl Strawberry I heard in Queens a couple of weeks ago sounded more like a Met. So now I'll ask you the same question we asked you, me and Bernie, 3 years ago. Darryl Strawberry, are you a Met or a Yankee?
Of course, I'm a Met forever.
All right.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at my career. My career was in Queens, and all the things that I accomplished in front of those fans were just incredible. They pushed me. They made me great. I can never, dishonor them for that. It was never about the fans. Leaving was about the front office, a broken relationship, and it was time to move on and just go in another direction. And so I had the opportunity to play with the Yankees. George was a father to me. He was a father that I didn't have. He cared about me. He cared about my family. He cared about people. I wasn't just the only person he cared about. There was so many people he had been a blessing to, and I just happened to be another one in line that he saw that was hurting and needed help, and he opened up the doors for you to put on the Yankee uniform and be able to play for his franchise. And so I'm forever thankful for that. But over in Queens, with the new ownership, Steve and Alex, they're incredible people. They're just wonderful people who love and care about the franchise, care about the history of the franchise. And, it's about time. The Mets franchise had some great players and had some great runs. We had the best runs in the 80s. Hopefully the guys can learn from that. We're not trying to compare ourselves, but the guys that are playing it today, hopefully you can learn what it's like to play in New York and what it's like to play underneath these fans. These are the best fans you're going to ever play underneath because they have great knowledge and understanding of what the game is all about. And,
yes.
And if you don't play well, they're going to let you know it. And that's the greater part about playing in New York. When they let you know it, they're telling you, come on, you suck, man. What's up with that?
I don't know. I can't imagine when you guys are sitting in the car listening to me and Mike and the Mad Dog and Beningo killing you guys. That was a lot of fun for you. But on a serious note, it is true. The fans here are so passionate, Darryl. Now, you did have a health scare a couple of months ago, but you sound like $1 million. You feeling okay?
I feel great. 3 months ago, I had a massive heart attack, and I was at 40% and almost lost my life had it not been for my lovely wife getting me into the emergency room. And it just goes to show you I'm healthy as ever, 62 years old, healthy as ever. And there it is, walking through the airports, 4 or 5 times, different times before I got home, my heart racing and not even knowing that I'm having a heart attack.
Oh, my God.
And so I get in and they do the procedure on me and put a stent in me, and there it is. I wear a defibrillator for like 3 months. Now I know what it's like to have a bra on because you had to wear a bra. I know what it's like for women to feel like having a bra on. Right. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I had to go through that shit, and then after coming out of that, I came out of that, and then they wanted my heart. I had to take a stress test, and they wanted my heart to be at 51%. It was at 70%.
Oh, wow, great. Oh, that is great. That is great to hear.
Moving forward.
Oh, great. That is great to hear. Thank God, Darryl. And I have to tell you, your son Jordan was the one who texted me early in the day yesterday and said, my dad's going to text you later on tonight. And, I watch your other son play ball in Maryland. I know one thing about Darryl Strawberry. You may have gone through some very, very tough years. And much like you, I've got a beautiful wife. We'll be married 32 years on Tuesday, Danielle. And she also is the reason why I've garnered this success with all my rehabs and recovery issues. So we're in the same boat with that. But your children, man, you've done an outstanding job. So you can take an awful lot of pride in that, Darryl Strawberry.
I do. Thank you so much, and congratulations on 32 years.
Thank you.
I take a lot of pride in my kids because they're my life. It's God first, my wife, and then my kids. I keep it in that order, and my kids are the most important thing. I don't want them to ever have to suffer like I did, and they haven't. They all went to D1. Jordan played at Mercer. DJ played at Maryland basketball. The girls played at UConn and Boston College and Arkansas. So just a whole family that has done well, and I continue to just be an example. I try to be a great example of who I am today. I'm in ministry. I'm a preacher, but I don't preach to my kids. I just live it just like my mother did. She just lived a life a certain way, and we saw it. And now I get to live the legacy of what my mother and hopefully my kids will live the legacy of who I am today.
God bless. On the way out, and again, Darryl Strawberry being honored. Me and Darryl together. What an event coming up Monday night. Bobby Hartman's golf tournament out there in Long Island. Bobby runs Mainstream House, which does an amazing job helping people in recovery. You know, I had my issues with God, Darryl. I did. I was in rehab, I remember, and they said, you got to find God, And if it has to be a group of drunks, G-O-D, that's fine. If it has to be the ocean, that's fine. But I remember sitting with my counselor in rehab and going, but if there's a God, how would he allow 9/11 to happen? How would he allow Oklahoma City bombing to happen? Little kids, getting murdered, or what's happening in Israel since Hamas back in October. And he explained to me that God does good things, but evil men take things into their own hands, and bad things do happen. But I remember the moment I started really believing in God, my dad was in critical condition. He went into a coma. And my wife was driving me from North Carolina to New York, okay? And I couldn't even drive. I was so distraught. Danielle did all the driving. And I saw a billboard, and it said, "Find Jesus now." Now, I'm Jewish, okay? Jesus is not my God. But I remember looking at the billboard and going, Jesus, please do me a favor. I can't lose my dad. He did die 4 years ago, but this is 10 years before that. I said, please help me. And my father came out of the coma 3 days later. And I said to my wife, I said, I got to tell you, there was something about that billboard in North Carolina. I really believe that has something to do with saving my father's life. And I've never questioned God's existence again. When did you become that guy where you're willing to give God the credit, like I do, for just about everything?
Well, I had to surrender my life to him. I think that was the most important thing. You can run your own will and try to do your own thing, and you're still looking for answers. And, the answers have always been there, and he's the answer to all our circumstances. And doesn't mean that he takes them all immediately, but he do hear the prayer, do know the thoughts of us and what we think. And he answered that to show you, a sign to show you that he's here for you. It's up to you to make that commitment to him, to know that he's the God. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the God of Israel, and he always will be. He's never going to change. He's always been here, and he's here to help people. He's here to help you grow. He's here to help you have peace. He's here to help you have joy. He's here to help you have the love that he gives to everybody. Evil comes in and open the door for people to not look at God, and they look at the evilness, and they stay in the evilness, and that's why it's so wicked, because they don't believe that God exists. His existence has been here forever and always will be. Even when we're gone, he's still going to be here, and he's still going to grab somebody and transform somebody and use them for his good. That's what he's done in my life. He stopped me in my tracks and transformed me and used me for his good, to go back and spread his love to other people, to show them that his grace and his mercy is sufficient for you, and it will help you get through anything in this life that we go through.
18, I love you. You were a joy to watch when I was a kid. You were my hero out there, but you're even a bigger hero right now, and I'm honored to be sharing that podium with you coming up on Monday night. Darryl Strawberry, thank you so much.
I love you too, brother. I'm glad we get a chance to share, the podium together and talk about life to help somebody else, brother.
Thank you, Darryl. You're the best.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There he is, and he's on my Instagram. He wishes me a happy birthday. He's a great guy. That is Darryl Strawberry. Big night coming up on Monday night, thanks to Bobby Hartman.
Long Island is more exciting than ever at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel. Get ready to zoom into some serious cash with Zoom Ball every Wednesday in June. Win up to $500,000. 1 point equals 1 entry. 2 lucky winners will be drawn at the top of every hour from 1 to 5 p.m. to play Zoom Ball. Discover the excitement at Jake's 58 Casino Hotel.
If gambling is a problem for you or someone, please call the 24-hour toll-free helpline at 877-8-HOPE or text NY.